This is an extract from the Leader podcast by the Evening Standard. The whole thing is available on all major podcast providers.
Former Prime Minister Theresa May rounded an attack on her successor Boris Johnson this week for instigating a second lockdown, with figures chosen to support the policy rather than policy being based on the figures. The PM reacted at the time by walking out of the chamber. But as competing data on the pandemic emerges, our editorial column says perhaps he should have stayed to listen.
The pandemic and our battle against it has become mired in conflicting data and projections and graphs, with every side handpicking what suits their argument. And with the public becoming ever more confused with the net result, there is a very real chance many will not comply. There have been so many chaotic U-turns, empty promises, and missed opportunities that faith in this government in having any real ability for serious strategy and effective communication has dropped dramatically. If U-turns are becoming the marker of this government, then they can U-turn again. If infections keep falling across London, they should reverse us out of lockdown, back to a 2-week circuit breaker, and let this city live again.
Our business journalist Joanna Burke joins me. Joanna, we're one day into England's second lockdown. What impact are London's businesses seeing already?
Well, you've got this lockdown has come in. So, footfall in the West End yesterday, that was down 65% from the prior Thursday. It's not a shock given that, half of the stores have, more than half have had to close for this lockdown. But it just shows you, that the streets are empty in central London owing to this lockdown. And for businesses, they're preparing for a month ahead, many sectors where they're going to get virtually no income due to this lockdown. There's some estimations saying this 4-week lockdown will wipe around 6 billion from London's economic output. And that comes as, thousands of shops, restaurants, bars are all closed, and they're forced to close in what is traditionally a hugely busy time for different industries.
You've spoken to some of the industry's leaders and they've described the second lockdown as a body blow. Do they think they'll be able to re-emerge out of this?
I think for some small operators, this is a horrific blow, and, I don't know if they will be able to recover. Gratefully, the Chancellor has extended the furlough scheme. That's a lifeline to support jobs, but for small firms that have had to shut in what is, the busy Christmas trading period, they've got no income in, but they still have outgoings, whether that's rent or, bills. It's just, it's brutal, and it costs, businesses money to shut down, and then reopen, all the costs linked with that. So you do have to, think that there will be some companies that don't reopen from this.
You mentioned there the extension of the furlough. How have business leaders reacted to that announcement?
Every chief executive I've spoken to this morning, they are pleased and thrilled that the Chancellor Rishi Sunak has extended the furlough payment. That gives a bit of breathing space and, for bosses, some guarantee that their, employees will have some support and income over the next few months. For all of them, most of them I've spoken to, they're still saying, it doesn't cover everything. It doesn't go far enough because they've still got several other headwinds to factor. Yes, you can support the employees, thank goodness, with this, but, they've still got loads of overheads to sort. It's not going to be pretty or pleasant in the next few months.
We're told this second lockdown will be another 4 weeks, but are there concerns it could extend past December 2nd?
I think if you had a look at sort of Twitter yesterday and some, chats with bosses, I think there is some nervousness around, whether measures will be lifted on December the 2nd. The fact that furlough's been extended, wonderful as that is, you might be, if you were cynical, thinking, does this mean there's a lot more pain to come? And whether, wondering whether you will be allowed to reopen. So I think, as sort of bosses think, things have been so uncertain this year already I think they can't guarantee there'll be certainty that they do open on December the 2nd. I think they're all being a bit cautious.